Hello, my name is Paul Schmidt. I was born in November 1983. I would like to tell you about some notable events that occurred in the month and year of my birth. November 1983 was an important time for our country. There were advances in technology, such as Bill Gates introducing the first version of Windows, Windows 1.0. I don't believe anybody at that time would understand the future implications and impact that would have on technology to come. There were also moments of irony, such as Joe Hayden, a Broadway star who starred in a role as a heroin addict in the Broadway show American Buffalo. In this role as a heroin addict, Joe Hayden received a standing ovation. He did wonderfully. However, the irony lies in 6 hours after receiving that standing ovation for his brilliant role, he was found dead by a heroin overdose. There were also moments that are still being honored today, such as Ronald Reagan adopting Martin Luther King Day. And it's still being celebrated every third Monday in January. But most importantly, this was a time of tense foreign relations. Foreign relations with the United States and other world powers. The United States was trying to thwart the spread of communism that was taking over the world. And one of those enemies was the Soviet Union, the USSR. The relations of the USSR and the United States began to increase when the United States shipped the first nuclear missiles to Great Britain for deployment in Europe. This action by the United States to ship these dangerous weapons prompted the Soviet Union to pull out of the nuclear arms talks that was currently being held in Geneva. But tensions reached a boiling point when NATO began their annual war simulations. This year's simulation was codenamed Able Archer. It was a simulation of an impending nuclear attack. When the Soviet Union heard of this codenamed Able Archer, they didn't believe it was a simulation at all. They believed this was a veiled attack on their country. This prompted the USSR to ready up their airplanes, their warplanes, load them with nuclear weapons, and as they were running, heading down that runway, about to take off, at the last minute it was aborted. Presumably it was aborted due to increased intelligence and realizing this was in fact just a simulation, and codenamed Able Archer was no threat to their country. And thankfully they got that intelligence. But with these nuclear tensions, it's no wonder that ABC's TV movie, The Day After, was the number one watched TV movie of all time at over 100 million viewers. The TV show, or the TV movie, The Day After, was about an impending nuclear holocaust and the events that happened afterwards. The Soviet Union was not the only country to receive the attention of the US. Another country was the island of Grenada. They were definitely receiving the attention of the US when they found out that Cuba, a communist country, an enemy of the United States, was actively building an airstrip on their island. This airstrip, the United States believed, could pose a tactical advantage in any kind of air warfare due to Grenada being closer to the United States than Cuba. Furthermore, Grenada's Prime Minister, Maurice Bishop, was deposed by Deputy Prime Minister Bernard Coard. Bernard Coard was a pro-communist, a loyalist to the Communist Party, and he also received the backing of the Grenadian army, whereas Maurice Bishop was seen as a friend or an ally of the United States. So, seen as Grenada was turning more communist, that led to the United States invading Grenada in what was known as Operation Urgent Fury. During the invasion, the United States met with heavy resistance by communist loyalists. During the invasion, they uncovered a mass grave of over 100 bodies. And one of those bodies was identified as the once living Prime Minister, Maurice Bishop. The hostilities did not last long, however, in Grenada. In November, the United States was able to declare victory. This victory was viewed as a victory of democracy over communism. The spread of communism at this time was still in full force. The U.S. once again found another threat to democracy and freedom, and that threat was Nicaragua. The country in Central America was beginning to take a pro-communist stance. This resulted in an undeclared war between Nicaragua and the United States. At this time, the U.S. had no direct military intervention. However, they had the CIA train Honduras rebels, counter-revolutionaries, better known as Contras, to attack the government in Nicaragua. This conflict between the Contras and Nicaragua led to unsettling of Central America. And some American citizens, unhappy with the policies of United States relations with Central America, led to rallies in Washington, D.C. It also led to the Contadora Group being established. Contadora Group consisted of Colombia, Mexico, Venezuela, and Panama. It was established to prevent direct U.S. military intervention in Nicaragua, the type of military intervention that was seen in Grenada. Central America wanted to avoid, or the Contadora Group wanted to avoid that at all costs. So this group was established to prevent that. However, their policies were never formally adopted, but it was still viewed as a victory, seen as the United States never took direct military intervention in Nicaragua. Many other events occurred during this time. Chrysler's first minivan, the T-115, was developed. Heineken's chairman was kidnapped and held for ransom, but was rescued and freed 3 weeks later by the police. But I feel these facts lack substance. I think it's important to understand the history of our country and the events that helped shape it. Because as Edmund Burke famously quoted, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. Thank you.